Women of Reddit. What's one thing men do that they think is attractive but actually isn't? Story 1. I had one very attractive boyfriend who very much knew it, and he would practically pose on the lounge waiting for compliments. It was so off-putting. Plus, he used my special moisturizer all the time. I only used it every now and then for special occasions. And when I finally used it again, it was almost run out. So I asked him and lied about it. I found him so unbelievably unattractive after getting to know him. He had pretty privilege for too long, and it showed. Story 2. Persistence to the degree it gets scary. If I don't like you and I say no and you ask me again, sure, I'll say no a second time and wave you off. But when you aggressively keep moving at me, physically following me, disbelieving me if I say I have a partner, regardless of whether or not I do, nobody finds that shit cute, talking about screwing up. Going out on a date, it's understandable a man would want to make it seem like he has it all or most of it together. And this is the tack a lot of guys take. But when a man is down to earth and can talk about the mistakes he's made, or errors he corrected with perspective, humility, and even humor, it really makes him stand out to me. Someone who is relaxed and not afraid to screw up a little bit is totally sexy because it puts me at ease and makes me feel like I don't have to be super perfect either, and that he is likely to be more adventurous and forgiving. Story 3. When men try to act tough or like they're over someone / something, it's okay to be sad / cry / be affected by something emotionally. And no, you're not better than a waitress, garbage man, obese person, weak person, homeless person, dumb person. I could go on. Story 4. Raise their voice when trying to get their point across or interrupt when anyone is trying to calmly explain their point. My father raises his voice and gets such a fucking attitude when he's impatient, and I wonder why my mother puts up with it. Story 5. I'm really turned off by the guys who think of themselves as having elite taste in anything to the point where they like to state all of their opinions as if they're objective facts, especially when these opinions always align with what is already critically acclaimed and not just their own unique tastes. Story 6. My friend buys expensive breads and cheese to impress the cute female cashiers. I am a cashier, and I would like to say the same thing I said to him. As a cashier, we do not give 2 cents worth of fucks about you, and I am definitely not impressed by your purchase. For all I know, you are someone who had too much disposable income up your ass and are definitely stupid to spend it on a piece of bread which can be easily replaced for a cheaper loaf with no significant difference. It's like you guys looked capitalism in the eye and said, "Yes, fuck me hard, daddy." Story 7. Reckless driving with me in the car, especially when it's my car. It's not showing off your skills, it's giving me an anxiety attack. Being repeatedly ultra-competitive with mundane things, especially when I say I don't want to compete. Grabbing me when I'm in the middle of doing something, then just standing there, not helping. Interpreting being manly as being unhygienic and refusing to shower groom because then it will wash off your natural musk. No, you're a lazy fuck that smells. Story 8. For me, those men who are too cheesy and too mushy. It doesn't mean that I hate to be treated with affection. And I'm looking for someone who treats me badly because that means I'm more attracted to bad guys because I have some trauma. Ha 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 ha. I mean those guys who are hello baby, my little doll, my precious little girl, etc. And who also talk like babies. Who say when I barely know them that they want to give me the moon and the stars. I, the fool here writing, the only way you can win me over is with quality time, acts of service, and meaningful gifts, which isn't the same as expensive, not with stupid nicknames, cliche promises, and many sweet kisses. Story 9. Making a point to hurry past me just to open the door. It's performative and it means nothing to me. Open the doors for everyone. It's common courtesy. I think I noticed this when a guy intentionally wouldn't unlock his car until he could come around to open the door for me, which meant nothing because I was cold and wanted to get in the car ASAP. Story 10. As a guy after reading this thread, it feels like all these women are just dating scumbags, idiots, or a mix of both. Like, the guys they're describing literally sound like the villains in every romantic comedy or teen drama ever from the 90s and 2000s. They don't sound like real people to me. So I have to wonder, the women who read the other thread about what women do that men don't like, are you all thinking something similar? Like, who are all these dumb women who actually think making men jealous is a turn-on for them and other stuff mentioned there? Or is it like, oh, I can't believe they don't like that ... IT quote S worked for me. I've done that, so no wonder it didn't work. The world is a huge place, and I've seen some stupid people. So I know 100% for a fact there are guys out there like you're describing in this thread. But for there to be so many that these are the top comments with thousands of upvotes is crazy. I kept scrolling to look for things I do or have thought about doing since I'm not a ladies' man at all and just don't attract women at all, but I can't find it. Story 11. Acting overly macho. Those that refuse to wash their butts because it makes them gay. The ones that hunt for sport? The ones that have to have the loudest and biggest trucks when they have absolutely no need for it? The ones that have to strut like a peacock to assert their dominance as alpha male? This is the fastest way for me to develop cobwebs in my clam. I hate that and find it wildly unattractive. I've met some men that are some of the toughest mofos sitting with my daughter in a friggin' tutu, getting served tea, talking about how she wants to paint their nails, and they're as at home doing that as they are sparring with someone. If they cook, clean, play princess, you name it, and are still at home in their sexuality, that is guaranteed to make me wifey material any day of the week. That is the way that gets my motor running on all gears. Whatever they want, I will give within reason. Story 12. Mansplaining to show how smart they are. Men who want to make an impression listen and ask good questions and remember what you told them. I'm a talented professional with a hard and kind of weird job that involves a lot of specialized knowledge. Men who immediately hear one sentence and jump in to inform me how that question should be resolved don't come across as smart. They come across as fucking dumbasses who can't understand nuance and have no idea what they're talking about. Because again, my job is highly specialized. I'm happy to explain it to you so you can be appropriately amazed at how insane some parts of it are and be like, but why though? Because some parts of it are like that. But I don't love dudes who hear one sentence and have immediately solved my problem via the convenient mechanism of having no idea what they're on about. Like, I completely agree parts of the process are stupid and insane, but they're stupid and insane by law. So I still have to cope with the stupid and insane parts. Story 13. Persistence to the degree it gets scary. If I don't like you and I say no, and you ask me again, sure, I'll say no a second time and wave you off. But when you aggressively keep moving at me, physically following me, disbelieving me if I say I have a partner, regardless of whether or not I do, nobody finds that shit cute. Story 14, call their exes crazy. I immediately think he's the problem. I've met thousands of women in my life, and I'd classify none of them as actual crazy. Men can make women feel crazy with their lies, manipulation, and gaslighting, so I immediately think he's that type of guy. It's not a good look. Story 15, when they think they're projecting confidence, but it's actually just ego. Ego gets in the way of connection and conversation. Inversely, I love when a man is humble and interested in learning something from me. I was speaking to a male acquaintance once and asked him something about a niche I thought would relate to his job. He plainly said, "Oh, I don't know what that is. Can you explain?" And then I explained, and he was happy to have learned something, and we were able to engage back and forth on it for several minutes. He didn't let an ego stand in the way of learning something from a woman. He wasn't ashamed of it like so many men I know would be. He wasn't just waiting for his turn to respond. He was genuinely interested in what I was saying. This is just basic conversation skill and respect for women as equals, but it struck me how rarely I've experienced it. Story 16, not a woman, but a FTM person who's attracted to guys when they act like they don't care about anything. Like, come on, show me some passion for something. Video games, anime, nerdy card games, sports, whatever. I'm tired of guys that try to be so chill. If you can show passion for your own hobbies, then I know you'll never show real passion about being with me. Story 17. For any guys reading these, take everything with a heap of salt. I'm not saying anyone's lying, but what you say you want and what actually works are very different things. There are plenty of green flags in the comments that'll get you nowhere. Don't be an incel nutbag, but don't be the walking pushover these comments are pushing. Your average girl is not a Redditor too. Story 18. Going to the gym and getting very, very bulky. I personally like normal to somewhat toned looks, not big and buff looking. I think that's the most popular among women. I could be wrong. If getting large muscles is something you personally like, definitely go for it. I think it's a cool hobby, but I don't think it does much if the goal is to be popular with women. Story 19. Self-deprecation or negging. Also bragging about the things that they're really good at, but never being able to show those things. Like, a lot of guys like to think that they're really smart, but the way that they try to show that is they just talk down to you, and that's really unattractive. Story 20, when they're too cocky. It's worse because men think they're slick when they're the easiest to read. So I can already see you trying to hit on me, which is cringe. I'm not saying this to say I'm all that or sound all holier than thou. I'm literally just a regular woman. But I can see you being cocky and bragging on top of that. Terrible combo. Story 21. Treating other people badly or making mean jokes about them. TBH, I'm just speaking from experience, but it's not attractive at all. It's like they're trying to pull a carefree bad boy type of thing. I'm into stable, good, kind people. But like I said, maybe it's just me and there are women out there that like that type of thing. Story 22. Play it too cool. We went out on a date. You're either into me or you're not. I don't mind a bit of a flirty chase. It can be fun. But don't give me the cold shoulder or ghost me for a few days because you feel like, what, if you're thoughtful and stay in touch, I might expect us to move in together next month. Does it hurt your masculinity to just outright let me know you like me? Story 23. As a guy, this is a very difficult question for anyone to answer. What you may consider unattractive, another considers their ideal. Some women like to be wined and dined with lots of money thrown around. Some would consider that gauche and would rather pay their own way and have an equal say as to venue type of date. As a guy who is happy with his partner, I would say the best thing you can do is to show interest in whatever they're interested in. Go in with the idea of friendship, and if something happens, then that's great. If you go in with the idea of romance, seduction, then end up being friend-zoned, then you feel disappointed. Story 24. Too much cockiness. There can be a fine line between confidence and cockiness. Confidence and competence are very attractive, but cockiness oozes insecurity. Also, because this just entered my mind and it needs to be said, the men that hang a set of balls on their truck. Y'all are clearly trying to make up for something there. Story 25. Talking about money. It's great to be proud of your achievements, but continuing on with great detail is bad. I excused myself from a first date because he was bragging so much. I told him I did not think we were a good match. I was very polite about it. He had rambled on about his education, prestigious-sounding job, and how much he made, makes, and is projected to make. He knew my title from my profile and made a few comments about it. He implied I made less because of the glass-ceiling women face. He even made a few comments about how I must feel so lucky that we matched. I never said anything during his monologuing, but kept chuckling internally because I made more than he did. Story 26, talking about money. Some guy at this place I frequent was talking about how much he claims to be worth and was trying to get women to slob all over him. While we all agreed the confidence was phenomenal, it was how ugly the person's character was and how they treated the women that night, which was just disgusting. Another is trying to one-up another guy. Like, shut up, dude, your insecurities are showing. Story 27. Being rude and having an attitude first thing in the morning after waking up. BC, they're not a morning person, so they just ignore you until it's time to get up, and then midday comes and they come around and try to figure out what's wrong, why are you mad, and then proceeds to get mad. BC, I'm mad without even realizing they could have just said, good morning, how are you to begin with, to avoid this. Story 28. I've heard on a podcast, some men will leave you on read for a few days, a week, so they appear busy. The guy I'm currently talking to is doing that. When he replies ill, call him out of it. Give him the benefit of a doubt and a second chance. If he does again, I'll just block out. I'm not having my time wasted with childish mind games. If you are legit busy, that's fine, but communicate it. Story 29. Being a show-off, bragging, even humble braggers that pretend they are not bragging. Guys that insist on paying for everything. Never accept that, because that is a trap. It will haunt you later. Even if it is not that night or the relationship ends, it will come back to bite you in the butt. I also hate how young guys try to always one-up other young guys. To me, that shows they are insecure with themselves and have to put on an act. Another is clingy guys. Clingy men are creepy. Also guys that rush into marriage. That is also creepy. I would also never date a guy divorced more than once. If has been divorced more than once, it is him that is the problem, not his exes. Story 30. When we're having a conversation and they start giving me a monologic lecture like, why are you role-playing a professor? Who asked you? Physically, I'm there. Mentally, I'm thinking of how to avoid him forever. And also when they start arguing for the sake of arguing, it's so pointless. I'll never understand this behavior. Story 31. As a guy that likes guys, leading me around without really caring what I want to stop to look at, trying to order my drinks and food without asking, talking nonstop about their money, house, or car, or raving about how well their sports team is doing, or crying about how bad it's doing. Instant turnoffs. Most need to do better at gauging their partner's reactions and adjusting to that instead of being so oblivious to everything around them. Story 32. Driving a fancy car, truck, or motorcycle is usually not the flex men think it is, except with other men. This is especially true when a man makes big noises, TM, with a vehicle. Most women I know roll their eyes and look for a quieter place to continue the conversation, usually after making a joke about what the guy's compensating for. Story 33. That weird thing they do where they hold their arms out wider than their body to appear more muscular. It's not fooling anyone, you just look like you're holding on to an invisible life ring for some reason. Oh, and puffing out their pigeon chests when having an argument with other men. Weird. Fighting. Any kind of physical fighting, or verbal if it's loud. The only attractive way to fight is with wit, intelligence, and a calm voice. And even then, you have to pick your moment. Spitting on the ground, gross. Story 34. One thing I've noticed is that some men think that being overly confident or arrogant is attractive. A little confidence is great, but it can quickly become off-putting when it crosses into arrogance. Genuine kindness and humility are much more appealing. Story 35. Reading this thread as a man makes me understand why the phrase, good guys are always taken, married, or gay. If y'all have to routinely deal with this shit, then those mothers and fathers have failed miserably. To be honest, it would be interesting to read a thread of the opposite title. What women do that think is attractive, but isn't. Story 36. Taking charge and telling you how to do everything, even the things you are an expert on. Talked to one guy from a dating app. He asked what I was doing, and I said I was running a bath and mentioned I was adding Dr. Teal's Epsom salts. He then spent about 10 minutes telling me it was a waste of money and went into detail on how to make my own. I know how to mix 2 basic ingredients. Complete turnoff.